what he wants for lunch. He was like, "Can you make me nachos?" I was like, "Yeah, I can make you nachos." It's like, and then I was like, "There should be something else besides just nachos. Like, what else should we put on there?" And he thought about it. And he's like, "Toast." I was like, "Toast?" I was like, "That doesn't make any sense." And he goes, "You know me."
He's forming his identity.
He's so funny.
That's going to be his identity.
Toast boy.
Yeah, I'm the weirdo. I come up with weird things.
You know me. Typical Pete.
Well, nachos don't take long to make, so I think you've got a little more time to record.
I'm just saying we can't
I mean, what is nachos? The kind of nachos he wants. He just wants chips with cheese on it.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't want jalapenos.
I know. He doesn't want anything else, but I can't think of what else to give it. Like, there's got to be some protein. I can't just give him chips and cheese.
Beans. Throw beans on there.
Ugh, I don't keep beans in this house because beans are disgusting.
Will he eat bean mush? Refried beans?
No, I don't think so. I wouldn't know because I've never had them around because I think it's disgusting.
Bean paste. Well, then if you ever go to Japan, you have nothing to eat because all they have is fish and red bean paste.
Well, that's sweet, those red bean things. I like those.
You like those, but you don't like regular beans.
No. Ugh.
I think it's a very strange stance to take. Just because they're sweet, that's the difference?
Yeah.
Not liking beans and also not liking red beans. I could argue against that, but it's a matter of personal taste, and that makes sense. But this strange distinction you've drawn.
Well, because usually it's around like a sweet pastry too. So it's like a whole different thing than this like savory bean thing. And then also if you put a bean in your mouth and you have to I don't like peas either. They smush. They're like mealy. Ugh.
You and Christina could talk all day about this.
Oh, she doesn't like beans either?
Oh, she can't stand beans.
Hell yeah.
She doesn't like beans, which is funny because apparently, for whatever, I forget the story behind it, and she's going to hate me for saying this because I know she listens to these. But
okay.
Her older sister, called her Bean when they were younger. So that was like her nickname.
That's so cute, though.
So her nickname is a thing that she hates, including peas.
Yeah. It's gross.
I find them to be inoffensive. Like, I will eat peas. Do I love, like, lima beans? People, I remember growing up, lima beans, was the reaction that people would give. Oh, this most disgusting legume there is, the lima bean.
Yeah.
And I eat them. I'm like, these are fine. There's nothing wrong with lima bean. We have this conversation often. Christina doesn't like many types of food, and I don't like fish and other weird meats. But I would try any sort of vegetable or fruit you put in front of me. I may not like it, but there's not that reaction. Meat is different, but vegetables, it's like, yeah, sure, I'll try that thing. She wouldn't, an onion. She won't even touch an onion.
What?
A cooked onion, I guess she says, is fine, but a raw onion, no.
Ooh, I love all kinds of onion.
She doesn't like pickles.
See, I like sweet pickle. Like I like bread and butter pickles, and I like gherkins. Ugh. I like cornichons with like a cheese meat. Yum.
And that's disgusting.
But pickles, oh my god, the worst thing I ever did was somebody had one of those like pickles in a bag, from like a gas station or something.
Yeah, they're great. You drink the juice.
And so I was trying to be brave, like you're saying, where it's like put something in front of me, try it, and I was like,
brave.
I was trying to be brave.
It's a fucking cucumber. It's been sitting in brine. It's not like one of those eggs with the half-formed baby duck in it where you're crunching its skull.
Balut?
Yeah. It's a totally different thing. So when people use words like brave to eat a vegetable, it's like, okay.
Okay, well, listen, it took, how about I was trying to be open-minded, right? And maybe this will be good. And so I took a little bite.
and hold on.
Yeah.
Do the intro.
Welcome to One Topic, where we stick to one topic. My name is Autumn Fisher.
And my name is Greg Russ. Now pick up.
And it was awful. It was the most offensive thing I've ever eaten in my life. It was so saturated because it was that bag. It was like ugh. It was awful. I was so upset.
Did it have a flavor? Was it straight up dill? Because
dill probably, which I don't like dill either.
Well, dill
which is probably why I don't like pickles. But like I like pickled things, so it's not like I just don't like a specific type of pickle.
Well, when I say flavored, I don't mean dill, even if dill is a flavor.
Oh, okay. That
just feels like the standard. I don't know. I feel like they do chili pepper and garlic.
Oh no, it wasn't anything. It was just like a regular pickle, but it was in that bag, so it was like concentrated.
There's something about pickles. I cannot stop eating them. The Pringles tagline, once you pop, you can't stop.
Oh yeah.
I always thought that was bullshit. I like Pringles. I'm fine with potato paste mushed and
they can't even be called chips.
Yeah, mushed and molded into that shape. I like them. But with pickles, there is some sort of physical draw where once I eat one, I want more and more and more. I will eat a whole jar of pickles in a sitting, and then I will drink the juice.
I know people drink the juice. Like, you sip it, though, right? You can't, like, gulp, gulp, gulp. It's like...
I mean, you could drink it quickly if you wanted.
It wouldn't be, like, overwhelming if you did that?
It could be. I think that's why people sip it, because it is a relatively, at least for a beverage, strong flavor.
See, that's how I felt with that pickle. I was overwhelmed with how strong... It's like, I should have started lower. I mean, it's not like the first time I've ever had a pickle. It was just too much.
Anytime intense. Something is put in a pouch... It really amplifies the taste and the smell. I bought, don't ask me why, hard-boiled eggs from Trader Joe's. They're so easy to make. I don't know why I bought pre-hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah. Were you going to eat them like right then?
Yeah, I like hard-boiled eggs.
I'm saying though, because then it would make sense if you were like, I just want a snack or something.
Well, there was several in the bag. It was a big bag of them, so I couldn't eat them all at once. So they sat in the fridge for a bit. But when we were in London, I would go to the Tesco and get the 2-egg pack and carry them around in my pocket as a delicious snack. But Christina hates eggs.
She doesn't like eggs at all?
I mean, she'll eat some, but not a big thing. But hard-boiled eggs really disgust her. And
well, I don't like the hard-boiled eggs either. I don't like the mealy yolk.
I like them. You should do medium boiled then, so it's not as mealy. Point is, I opened that fucking bag and the stench almost put me off. It did. I'm surprised it didn't ruin eggs forever, because it really was so overpowering. It's that sulfur smell, the fart smell multiplied.
Awful. Yeah.
It was multiplied exponentially. So just sitting and stewing in that bag, opening it up, released a gas onto the world.
Yeah. But you just pushed past it.
Yeah, I pushed past it and continued. But she sprinted out of the room.
Because it was so bad?
It was bad. I whatever you're thinking, make it worse.
Oh, no.
It's just concentrated in there. So if I ever had any hope of getting her to eat hard-boiled eggs, I think I lost that one. It's hard for me to grasp not trying. I'm not saying it's hard for me to grasp that people don't like things, but not trying things that aren't an animal, like a baby duck and an egg. It just feels like someone handing you a leaf. Maybe you won't like that leaf.
Okay.
But it's not like it's disgusting. It's like, here, try this. It's like, all right, I'll take a nibble of the fucking leaf. I don't really like it. It's bitter. I don't like the texture. Fine.
Yeah.
But the recoiling that comes about, peas.
Well, okay. I feel like lima beans, I had that reaction because of the way of how, like, they're just such a big bean, and they're like that pale green.
What about?
And
those
then I just think about
beans?
the smell. Blech.
You ever looked at the butter bean? You ever had a butter bean?
Oh, those are big too, and they're so. The name is so such a trick. You're like, butter.
I unfortunately think of the boxer. I'm not even I'm not even a big boxing
from Punch
fan.
Out.
No, but
I didn't know there was a real guy named Butterbean.
But they look similar. Look up Butterbean. Now I'm wondering. I don't remember when Butterbean was active. Oh my God, the first picture that pops up when you type in Butterbean. Eric S.
Ah.
I don't know how you pronounce. He was born in 1966. When the fuck did he box? That's all I did. He box. He began his career in the 1990s. No, I was hoping that he was the inspiration for King Hippo. Is that who you're talking about?
Oh yeah, his name wasn't even Butterbean.
No.
Wow, I just really thought that guy was Butterbean. Boxer.
They look very similarly.
Yeah, they do. Oh my god, this fucking guy.
And I guess as far as
look at his nips.
I guess if you compare him to an actual Butterbean, they look the same.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Shaped like a Butterbean. Well.
When did Punch Out come out?
What's that?
When did Punch Out come out?
Ooh.
Punch Out was late 80s, right?
84.
Oh, why is that old?
Yeah, I'm shocked. Wait, it says initial release date 87. Why does Wikipedia say 84?
Well, I know it was released without Mike Tyson.
Oh, right. Okay, so Mike Tyson's Punch Out must have been later. 87. Okay, so 84 was like the first Punch Out. I've never played the original Punch Out. I didn't know that there was one.
I don't know. What I'm seeing here is initial release 87. Doc Lewis's Punch Out was first. That's a different one. What the fuck is this? We're at the point where looking things up, it's so convoluted. You can't just get a quick answer. It shouldn't be that. I'm asking a very specific question. But there you go. The arcade game version was released in 84. There was a sequel, Super Punch Out. That was the first one. That was another arcade. And then the first console version was when they licensed Mike Tyson. So it was Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Right.
And then I know at some point that license ran out and they just released it as Punch Out without Mike Tyson for Nintendo. So there. Figured it out after much wasted time. I was watching a video about that the other day, still learning things I never knew. Apparently, when you're fighting some of the boxers on there, if you watch the people in the audience,
I've seen that.
Yeah, they react in a certain way, like a guy with sunglasses takes a picture.
Yep, and then you're supposed to do something. That's how you defeat one of the harder guys.
Yeah, you're supposed to punch at that moment. The guy who charges at you is one of them too.
Wait, the one that goes like.
I feel like they all make that.
They
noise.
all do that. Yeah.
If we looked up Punch Out noises, if there was a way for me to run audio into this recording, which normally there would be, but I don't have a mixing board where I'm set up, we could just spend the rest of the show playing sounds from Punch Out. But the guy would back up and charge at you.
Yeah.
Bald Bull. Yeah, apparently there's someone in the crowd and they bow their head for a second.
Yeah.
I don't know if Bald Bull's the flashing camera one or the bowing of the head. But
I think he is that one because Piston Honda has little glitches that he shows you, but then that other guy, Bald Bull, is tough. He's really tough. Here. Oops.
I mean, I could have played it off my phone.
I don't know why it's going. Brrrr.
I could have played it off my phone also.
Well, it worked.
I wanted full fidelity.
Oh, yeah. No.
I should load that onto a playlist and just listen to that.
Full no death. Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Full no death playthrough.
Man, there's no death. It's just the way people phrase things.
Yeah, no death. I guess maybe that's a video game term, right? To like.
So you can say death for the video games, but not when you're talking about real life and you have to say dumb things like unalived. All right, it's not as interesting as I thought it was going to be. I think if we were stoned right now and we hadn't played this game in 15 years. All right. Nostalgia is weird these days because everything's so accessible and there's videos on all this. Something like Punch Out, if we were talking about it and it was locked away in a closet, like my NES is in a Trader Joe's bag sitting on a shelf somewhere. And
do you think it still works?
I have the connectors are loose.
They always are, though.
Yeah, over time, I would have to open it up and fix it somehow. I did try to open the Nintendo once, but then it required more opening. It wasn't just you had access to the guts, taking off the outer shell. There
But
was
you can
another.
put the game in, and then you can like put another game in on top of it, sort of, once you push it down to help seal it in.
Yeah, or I could just fix it.
Yeah,
You
or
don't
buy a
even
new
need.
one.
Just get the emulator for $50.
That's true. I have an emulator and I love it.
It plays all thousands and thousands
Oh,
of
it's
games.
not okay. So I have to put the original games in, so I have to use my games.
Oh, so it's a console.
A console, yeah, but it's smaller, and you don't put them in the way that you did a Nintendo. You put them on top, like you push them down, like a NES. No, sorry,
Super NES.
Super Nintendo.
Yeah, last time I tried to play it, none of the games, like I could get them to work, but for the most part, it was a pink
Okay.
screen, and then you were getting closer when it became a pixelated screen. Like you could see elements of the game graphics, and you're like, I'm getting there, and then the blowing into the game cartridge and the
that works with this one still. Like it doesn't work unless you blow slow, the slow blow.
I know. I don't know how real any of that was.
I know, but it seems to work.
It's just
if you put it in and you don't blow, it doesn't go. If you go slow blow, then it goes.
If you hadn't played a game in a while and there was dust as accumulated, I could see it affecting it. But
yeah, I feel like it warms it up.
It's one of these things. People like to have control or feel like they have control, or they like to think.
Yeah,
it's
like,
a similar anxiety I feel is if something's loading on a computer and you don't have like a progress bar that's really not tied to the progress of whatever it is you're doing. It's just like something moving that lets you know that the computer is working. Without that, people lose their minds. And I think with Nintendo games, it's a similar thing.
I agree. We need to have some sort of hand in making something happen.
Yeah, not knowing why taking the game out and putting it back in. Like, no, I blew into it. Or you put the game in and then you move it left to right.
I did my magical incantation that made things go.
Everyone did it in a proliferated society. It's one of those things that I question quite often, like Marilyn Manson's removal of a rib so he could suck his own penis. It's like, where? I know it's not true, but the fact that these things spread far and wide without the internet. It's just a thing that somebody said at some point and they told another person, and that just Nintendo, was integrated in people's lives enough where it makes sense to me. But the Marilyn Manson thing is just very strange that it just spread throughout the country, and people probably in England knew about it too. Like, oh yeah, Marilyn Manson and those ribs.
Maybe they had somebody else, like they had their own version of not Marilyn Manson, but some other sort of like sex deviant or something.
What was the timeline on it? I mean, not like when it came out, but from the moment the first person told that story to the point where it was common knowledge. I would like to see a map. It's like here in Denver, Colorado, this middle schooler first told the story. And so it's color coded and you see it spread.
I don't think that it can start with just one person. I think that
multiple people are making up the same story.
Yeah, I think like there are some sort of strange interconnected things that happen with humanity that maybe that's what's happening. For example, they did an experiment on some task that was like impossible to do, like hadn't been done before. This was to illustrate why records can be broken by one person, and then all of a sudden everyone can do that thing now, right? Like people can beat those records all of a sudden. Does that make sense?
No, say it again.
Okay, so before it was with sports or something, right? No one could run this fast, and now since one person broke the record, a lot of people now can like meet that record, at least not necessarily exceed it yet, but people can meet that record now. And that's supposed to be some sort of interconnected piece of humanity. So they did this experiment where they had all these people try and complete these tasks, and after one and there was all different, like all over the world in different cultures and things. And once one person was able to do it, then a bunch of other people were able to do it.
Okay.
And so I wonder if something like this is another example of people having this strange interconnected thing where it's like, here's Marilyn Manson. We're all a little confused by his, ways. He's in his like, I don't know. When he first came out, right? He was kind of exciting, but also like scary, and so it was intriguing, right? And so somehow, I think people across wherever decided that this was something that he did, and then it couldn't have just started with just one person.
I hear what you're saying with Marilyn Manson, and it sounds like a weird thing that Marilyn Manson would do. You want to assign strange body modifications to a weirdo.
Yeah.
The perceived weirdo, I should say.
It's weird because he's already weird. Why do we have to make him weirder?
People, but even, I know it does happen. Meaning there's times that I have a thought and some of it's because you're now thinking about the same thing and things become apparent to you. Quite often people talk about, I was just thinking about this thing and now it's popping up everywhere in my life.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, well, it probably was there anyway, but you weren't paying attention.
Right.
That aside, me saying that sometimes you have this idea, you think it's original, and you find out someone else had the other idea. So I know it does happen. It's such a specific story. It feels strange to me that multiple people around the same period of time all came up with the same story, that he removed a rib, two ribs.
So weird.
And then it just took off and spread around.
What about all those stories of, like people getting their stomach pumped because of like...
I get how it spreads. Like everything you were saying with that story, the reason, if you hear it and all the thoughts of Marilyn Manson, and it sounds like something he would do, even if it's not true, it's a weird story. I see how it spreads once it takes off. I still find it very interesting that it spread across the country. You could ask people on the West Coast about it. And we grew up in Georgia and we know the same thing. That, on some level, I find very interesting. And that's when I was talking about the map. I would just like to see the way it spread. I still feel like, though, it had to just be one person somewhere along the line. Why they had so much influence and clout. It doesn't seem to be published anywhere. Not that I think it would be in Rolling Stone, but I
think that we're all like, we all have the same brain in a lot of ways. And so you just come up with the same idea. It's like everybody that sees the sign for jumbo shrimp, they all make the same joke. Oh, jumbo shrimp.
Yeah, I never liked that. That was a dumb fucking joke.
Sure, but I'm saying it's
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
You tell me that, my brain goes down a different path. I'm thinking, yeah, fuck it. It makes sense. There are shrimp of various sizes. So within that world where here's an array of shrimp from small to large, and these are bigger than the others, that's what we're going to call the jumbo shrimp. The people who have to jump and make that fucking joke, it's like, stop being purposefully obtuse.
Well, that's the
idiot.
point, is that they're being purposefully obtuse. I couldn't say that.
I just think it's shrimp means small, oxymoron.
Man, oxymorons were really big for a while, I feel. Did we all figure out, was that another thing that caught on all at once? We all found out what an oxymoron was?
An onomatopoeia.
An onomatopoeia.
And that's just one of those things, I feel like, once you learn it for the first time, like, oh, that has a name?
Right.
And it sticks with you.
Was it just our generation? It has always been around, but we discovered it again?
What do you mean?
I didn't know, like, it seemed like young and old were talking about oxymorons for a while. Like in the 90s.
Yeah, man, maybe they
and
just
now they're gone. Nobody talks about oxymorons now.
I don't remember any specific examples of it popping up in 90s culture.
I think it was just like around. I just remember people like saying it's an oxymoron.
Maybe it was just one of those things where you learned about oxymoron and then you noticed that everyone was saying it.
Maybe. That has a word in German. I've tried to Google it, but Googling of it is so ridiculous. It's like, when you find out the thing, then the thing is around everywhere you didn't know before. It's really hard to Google, but it has some cool word in German.
It's an oxymoron, you're saying? I don't know. You lost me.
I'm saying the Germans have a word for when you didn't know something and you learn it and now it's everywhere and you didn't notice it before.
Okay.
That. There's some Kindenkarschen.
Of course they have that word.
I know. That's what I was saying. I can't, it's hard to Google because how do you Google that?
German word for not knowing something, but then seeing it everywhere.
See? I don't know. It seems hard to Google.
There's some sort of phenomenon. The Bader-Meinhof phenomenon.
Oh, there we go.
Is that, but that's more of a title
You're
instead
right.
of an exact word.
I forgot.
The cognitive bias where something you recently learned seems to appear much more frequently than before. If we were a good podcast, we would dedicate, and we were true to our name, we would dedicate a whole show to the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon.
Yeah.
And then we'd go into it and we'd speak very seriously like this.
I have an example of the Bader-Meinhof phenomena for me that's happening now.
Continue.
Everyone seems to be saying fair, as in you make some point and the person says, that's fair. I feel like I've never noticed people saying that before. Now all of a sudden everybody says it.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm. It's everywhere.
I'd feel as though it's said pretty commonly.
I feel like if I was under oath or whatever, I would promise that I've never heard people say, I mean, not never say the word fair, but in a response of like, that's fair. Or like fair, but blah, blah, blah. Like if you're in a discussion or something. Fair.
That's fair, but you're wrong and an idiot. And here's my real thoughts and the real answer to the thing that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm thinking about the podcast, though, and what it could have been.
What do you mean what it could have been?
We really could have done our research. We could have dug in. We could have scripted a show and talked about the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. It could have been set up with an anecdote with some jaunty music behind it. Have you ever been thinking about a person saying it's fair and then realize that you go into the store and you tell a person, I don't know, I'm not doing a very good job. Yeah, that's fitting. I feel knocked out myself.
I love the sounds that the not Mario referee goes. He's like, ew, ew, ew.
It's Mario.
And he goes TKO. Like, it's not Mario.
There are ways to actually KO Tyson. If you TKO Tyson, you're not good enough. You have to KO him, and it's very difficult to KO him. That's a thing. And then
how do you do it? What's his trick?
I don't remember.
They're just so fast.
People become very competitive over everything. There are people who are very good at very specific, strange things out there. And then there are people like me who are not good at anything. You're just okay at everything. Which is better? Which is if just to be an expert at something like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. And you're the guy who holds the record for KOing Tyson. And not many people can do it. And you spent hours and 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 hours practicing.
Yeah.
Is it worth it to have that skill and that title?
I don't know.
Is it just better to be like, I don't know, I'm competent enough that I can get through life? And
you're saying should you be able to do the thing you're talking about with Punch-Out versus not being able to function? in life.
I'm just saying, is it worth spending that much time being an expert at something, or is it better to just be, I don't know, I invest equally and barely into most things, but it gets me by.
It depends on what you're looking for, right? Because if you're happy doing that and, you're just looking for a fun sort of little, hyper-focused activity, go for that. Sure. Then you can be like, hey, you know what? I spent a whole summer learning how to beat Mike Tyson and Punch Out. Like, cool. Okay. You know how to do that now. If you're doing something like that and then not doing your taxes or something, and you could have spent time doing that instead, then yeah, all right, you're not functioning as a human.
This is a very clunky show. I'm just going to call it. The title's going to be Clunk. Maybe it doesn't feel that way to you. I don't know. My brain. The other day I was trying to. I don't know. My brain's dying. I couldn't remember John Travolta's name the other day.
Oh, I hate that. That's normal. That's not unusual.
It seems to be happening on a more frequent basis.
But didn't you have some drinks this week?
Yeah, I had some drinks. Like, I don't know when. Last Saturday when I went to see LCD Sound System.
It was before that too. You were hungover.
Was I?
Yeah, remember we had to push the show because you were like, cool, because I'm real hungover.
Oh, don't you put that on me. That was
you
saying...
I said, yeah, it was both of us. I was glad too.
Yeah, that was a work thing.
Mm-hmm.
Turned into, lack of Christmas party. It's like, hey, there's some drinks and slices of pizza in the office kitchen. Show up and have some. And then that always turns into some people going out afterward. And my whole thing for even going into the kitchen pizza party at first was, I'm going to come in, but don't anyone dare ask me to go out after.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. And then people asked me to go out. And enough ganged up on me that I gave in. It's just not, it's fine. I mean, hanging out was fine. At the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I'm glad I went out and did that. But just the motivation to go do things in general, it's severely lacking these days.
Why?
Who fucking
It's a
knows?
bummer. Sounds like a bummer.
I brought it up on a previous show. I don't know if it was last week, but I think working from home, like you're at home all the time, you're fucking fine. But I feel like working from home, being in the same space constantly, the days blur. Time doesn't lose meaning, but it's, you're not going places. There aren't strict divisions in your day.
See, I have kids and I have them every other week. So maybe that helps me. Like I have to do stuff with them. I have to get them stuff. I got to go. They have plans. It's like not just keeping up with their school schedules. Like, oh, is today gym day? All right. Well, you have to wear certain shoes. Oh, okay. Well, today I have to check and see if you have band today. So you have to bring your trumpet. And it's like, and I have specific things that I do only on Mondays and Wednesdays, so I think maybe that helps me break up like the week. Whereas you just have the same thing every day.
I hang out. Like right now I'm recording in the bedroom. I stand in the bedroom at this dresser. This is where I work.
Standing?
Yeah, I like to stand.
Wow.
I stand quite often. That's my exercise. I'm so lazy. Yeah. It's like, what's your exercise? I just stand all day. I
saw a documentary about anorexic women. And there was one girl who was always standing. She's like, I don't want to sit down because she felt like it was burning calories for her to stand.
I mean, it does burn. I mean, I'm sure it burns a few extra calories, but nothing significant. It's better than sitting all day. Though I guess if you're constantly standing over time, whatever joints you use to prop yourself up in your legs, knees, maybe. I have no clue. This is an example of that. I don't know. I don't know much. I don't know much at all. But being in this room, like I have a mic set up upstairs. That's where I do the doctrine. Yeah. Christina works upstairs during the week. I get very stubborn. She's like, we should switch. We should alternate. That way you're not always in the same space because, also being in the room that you sleep in It's like, I spent a lot of time in this fucking room. But I'm like, nah, no. Even today, she says, why don't you record upstairs? Like, nah, I'm going downstairs. I can't even tell you why. It goes against my whole reason for existence, which is logic. I get there's no logic behind this choice.
No, you like being kind of upset, maybe. You can focus on it instead of something else.
I mean, this whole week I didn't get much sleep, and I realized that it does affect me more because I was working on the Fireside Mystery Theater sound design. We have a show on Sunday, and then doing the sound mix for that TV show. In with the Old.
In with the Old.
It was an old orchard house in Nova Scotia. Let me tell you, these shows are all the same. They're these neo-hipsters that buy these old buildings and they renovate the soul out of them. It's like, man, that's a cool building. Oh, whoa, you're done, huh? And now it's one of those stark, cold museum.
Yeah, what do they do? They paint everything white?
Yeah, it's the same thing that people always do. It's like, why? Why? Why is this the trend right now? Who wants to live in a place like that? My apartment annoys me sometimes because we have so much stuff and it can become cluttery. But if you put the stuff in its place, it's a relatively clean apartment. The point is, it feels lived in. You go in, you're like, people live here. This is a place where people live, not a museum.
Well, that's the thing. The way that things look are very different than how they feel when living in that space. So yeah, you might want that aesthetically, but living in it is a whole different thing.
But people live in these spaces, don't they? When you're not comfortable.
I know, but they probably it's just like the open concept floor plan thing. People, that was huge. I don't know how huge it is now, but I know like every renovation show was like, we're gonna bust down this wall, from the living room into the kitchen, and now you have an open concept. And yeah, maybe that's kind of cool. But what ends up happening is everything has to be super clean because you can see everything when you walk in, so like you can't have one place to have a mess or else it all looks really messy. And it's probably the same thing with this, like living in a space that looks like a museum. It's like, oh, you can't actually live in that space because
I bought a couch because of the way it looks. It's not comfortable at all.
Right. That's what I mean.
It cost me $30,000.
Furniture is so stupid expensive.
I've brought this up before. If you buy good furniture, I think it's like wine. The middle.
At some point, it gets too much.
Yeah, there's the middle. Is like, this is the good wine.
Yeah.
Cheaper wine doesn't taste good. Wine that's much more expensive, you're not getting anything more out of it. You're just paying for a name or because something sat in a bottle for 300 years. Expensive-ish furniture is better built. It's very clear. You buy some crap on Overstock. You put it together yourself.
Oh, yeah.
It's flimsy. You push on the side. The whole thing wobbles. You buy decent furniture. It's like, well, this is sturdy. I see why this costs more. More work went into it. The materials are better. Even if it was mass produced, it's like they knew what they were doing with the joints. It's not just held together with screws.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think there is value into investing more money into things. But yes, at some point, it's like, that's a designer couch by so. I was like, I don't know who the fuck that is. Well, it's a big name in the furniture design world. It's like, I don't give a shit.
Great.
I don't fucking care. And it's not even a comfortable couch, but I'm glad that you have it. So I guess it is a museum piece at that point. And that's why these houses feel like museums.
Well, yeah. Do you remember when Kim Kardashian gave like a tour of her and Kanye's house and how fucking stark it was?
Yeah. Sometimes I think it was born out of Kanye's fucking house.
Ugh.
Ooh, Kanye
Well,
West.
they have the two different ways, right? Like minimalist and maximalist. Have you seen those maximalist posts?
No.
There's
what is that? Like a hoarder?
No. It's the same. It's just things all over the wall and plants and little tchotchkes and
okay, I know what you're talking about.
But it's nice. It's not like it's not well, I mean, to somebody who doesn't like it, they'll probably say it's cluttered. But it's like little personal things everywhere. So I think books, I don't know, throw blankets, pillows, stuff like
I
that.
know what you're talking about. Like every inch of the wall is taken up.
A
They've
lot
got
of the wall.
things.
Yeah.
They've got things hanging.
Things hanging.
I mean,
Probably a
and
cat that lives there.
well, I think this is when you brought this up and told me what it was. I did see a video of some person who brought in a stray cat from the street. And their home, the room they brought the cat in was like this. It was just filled with a bunch of stuff, but it wasn't like
Yeah.
hoarding. It was clearly purposeful.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, I have all the stuff on the walls and I put thought into this. And then the cat went wild and destroyed everything.
Oh no.
So don't bring a feral cat into your maximalist home, idiot. What the fuck? What do you expect?
Yeah. I mean, I guess you'd expect a cat to be afraid and for it to hide under or in all the things that you have around, but not destroy everything.
Well, when it comes in and it's frightened and the way they just jump and pounce and spring and climb on everything, like everything's being knocked off the walls. And, the cat takes any little ledge and uses it as an opportunity to climb higher. So all the pictures on the wall were these stepping stones, but they'd fall. At the end of the day, I don't give a shit. Interior design's, person's choice. I just find it strange that the minimalist cold took off the way it did. It doesn't feel.
And that's what you're seeing in this in with the new, in with the out
with the old. It's like, hey, this old 500-year-old orchard house that's been abandoned for 15 years. Like, look, it needs a total renovation on the inside. But
let's paint this structurally sound brick fireplace. Let's paint it white, and then we can never get it back to its original cool raw brick.
You also realize in those shows that, man, these couples hate each other. They just don't.
Oh, you always say. We've talked about that before.
Yeah, I remember there was another video a long time ago where there was a husband and wife on screen. I can't remember what that was about, but the guy just he's sitting there as his wife's speaking, and the look on his face is telling it all. Like he wants to die. I think I took a screenshot of that somewhere.
I'm pretty sure we talked about this. I think we got in a fight about it.
The fight?
I feel like we argued about this.
How so? What would your stance be?
I don't remember. I'm just feeling like this is very familiar and that I thought you were projecting on this situation.
No, I'm not. It's not projecting when it's actually happening. Not everything's projecting. When I bring it up in this instance because there's a point where they're talking about this outside space and the guy says he wants to put in a smoker so he can smoke his meats. And right next to that, he wants to have a room that he can make his own so he can have football games on, which I thought was strange because they're in Nova Scotia. So maybe he's into Canadian football. Who knows? But he's a football fan. That's all he wanted. Like the rest of the house, she's dictating all the terms. He's like, sure. Yes, fine. He asks for this one thing and she says, not going to happen. And not jokingly, just very seriously, wow, not going to happen. Like, what the fuck? And his reaction just says it all. Like he doesn't say anything, just looking at his reaction. Like, yeah, this guy fucking is miserable.
Is this part of your show that you're doing? That was something before.
No, that's the audio mix I was doing.
Right. Okay.
For that episode. I just feel quite often, I don't understand the dynamics of these relationships. It's like, why can't he have his fucking smoking area and his room and you get the rest of the fucking house? Why can't it ever be compromised? Why does the whole thing need to fit your fucking dream house vision?
Yeah, I don't know. People like being in relationships like that, though.
Do they really like it?
I think they must. Right? I mean, they wouldn't stay. It's like what you grew up with that's love and that's care, right? So if someone is controlling you, and like you're saying, like dictating everything, it's like, oh, that's how they lead in this relationship. And
he's
I
doing
get to sit
so
back.
much fucking work. Like they buy this house and they don't have much money, but he's good, carpentry skills.
Uh-huh.
And so he's doing a lot of the work
I
himself.
mean, listen, that whole like, yes, dear.
You can't give him a small fucking room
Nope.
and a patio where he can make brisket for the family. Not gonna happen. Like, meanwhile, he fucking finds his old piano that was her grandmother's and surprises her with a music room. And she's just complaining the whole time about everything. It's like, what the fuck? My rant isn't to say that all women are like this, by the way. I know that there's other relationships where, dudes are just as shitty, if not shittier. I just think these dynamics are very strange. The dynamic of a relationship, it's important for people to be individually happy. And if you're not, it obviously will affect the relationship. It's not just give up everything for the fucking relationship.
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to be. We meld as one. Our needs become one. And by that, I mean my needs become your needs and you have no needs.
People like it. They want that, like, mommy.
I lose my mind.
Mommy, can I go out with my friends? Only if you do your chores. Okay, mommy.
Build me this house now.
Okay, could I have a room for myself, please?
No.
Please, mommy. I just want one room where I can make smoked meats and watch football.
Sleep on the floor.
Okay, mommy.
On this little Japanese mat. My friend Dave, long time ago, met a Japanese woman. And he said he went home with her and they made out. And then when he was going to sleep, she said, and kicked him out of the bed and made him sleep on this little mat on the ground.
Like a dog.
And he stayed. I would
Like
have just gone home.
Yeah. Why didn't you go home?
I would have just gone home. I was like, okay. I'm not sleeping there. I'm going to go home. It's New York. It's not that difficult. There's a cab that can get me home. There's always a way home.
Yeah.
It's the middle of the night. No problem at all.
What's the cab situation like in New York? Is it still thriving?
No, the yellow cabs, for years and years and years, they like to operate in lower Manhattan, midtown to lower Manhattan.
Yeah.
Below Harlem, let's say. Upper West Side, Upper East Side, they would go to also. But they didn't like to go into Harlem. I get it, though. Most of the fares were down there. And then you could throw in some racial reasons, I'm sure. And if you get in a cab, a lot of the times they pull up and ask you where you're going before they let you in. That's always the first mistake. Don't fucking tell them until you get in the cab.
Oh, really? Because they'll be like, no.
I feel like I'm going to Brooklyn. Nope. And they drive away.
What?
Because they want to stay where the fares are. And if they drive you to Brooklyn, there's probably not a return fare.
Why wouldn't there be a return fare? Isn't there always somebody going in or out to anywhere?
It's harder to find them. I just didn't. If you drove a yellow cab into Brooklyn, maybe because they were so few and far in between,
yeah,
somebody would flag it down like, holy shit, and you would get a fare. But then I think you're also running the risk of that person going deeper into Brooklyn or out to Queens or something.
Oh, and then you're far away.
But by law, the yellow cabs, were supposed to take you anywhere in the 5 boroughs. Even if you want to go to fucking Staten Island, it's like, sorry, dude, you're getting me to Staten Island. That was the law. And, there was one time a cab tried to kick me out. I was already in. I forget what he said. That he had to go to the bathroom or something. He's like, I can't make that trip. I have to go to the bathroom. I said, fine, I'm calling 311 right now. I'm giving them your medallion number. He's like, oh, no.
Damn, what an uncomfortable ride now.
Yeah, I know. But this is years ago. With Uber, this doesn't exist anymore. But the number of yellow cabs was limited. And so they had these things called medallions. The medallion number is the top of the taxi.
And that was like a big deal, right? To get medallioned.
Yeah, like the top of the taxi would say 7GH9. Mm-hmm. That's the taxi number. And it matches the medallion, which was pinned to the hood. And because there was a limited number of these, they're a commodity. And they, like anything else over fucking time and capitalism, they became millions of fucking dollars a piece.
What? Millions?
Because the city would sell them for a certain price. But then you hit the secondary market where it's like, I've got a medallion. You want a medallion? Because I ain't handing out new medallions. You can't just go down to the office and get a medallion. And over time, that shit becomes so prohibitively expensive that only companies can buy the medallions. And then they start hiring drivers and paying them less. That's the first step in everything. You do get the people. I guess that's the last step in everything before it just completely collapses by the time the corporations come in. You do get some of the people who would mortgage these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I bought a medallion for $800,000 and I'm making payments on it fucking for the rest of my life.
Jeez.
And then Uber comes in. Before that, let me step back. In the boroughs, the outer boroughs of Manhattan, this is an outdated term, and it's not, I get it. I could probably be canceled for this.
Oh, don't say it. Okay, Greg, don't say it.
They used to call them gypsy cabs.
Oh, boy.
And you would call up, no matter where you were, they'd always say 5 minutes. And they'd dispatch a car. I mean, I think if you really go back to before the dispatch, there were just people who would drive around, and it was known. It's like, oh, that's like the unofficial taxi. Yeah. That guy is just driving around.
I mean, they still have gypsy cabs. They're like gypsy Ubers where they like hang out by the airport and they're like, oh, are you my are you my Uber? And it's like, yeah. And then you get in and you realize that's not your Uber.
Well, you have those predators at the airport here. Need a cab? And then you get in and then they charge you like $300. Oof. My parents fell for that once when they first came. They went to Midtown and the guy charged them like $150. I'm like, my God. Whoa. Like they'll hold your suitcase hostage. So you can't just get out and like, no, we didn't agree on this. So the car dispatch services, though, is what grew out of that. So it became a little more official. You'd call and they'd dispatch a car to you and you would just set a price on the phone and you confirm it when you got in the car. But I remember taking cars from Bushwick, Brooklyn to the radio station, which was on the west side of Manhattan. It was like $25 when I first moved here. And these still exist to an extent. But then Uber came in, and because there was such a need for car services in the outer boroughs, exploded. It exploded. It's licensed here. It's not as free flowing as it is in other places where it's a person coming home from the grocery store. It's like, I just decided to pick you up, my Kia. Like, okay, I'll just ride with you now. This is weird. The car has to fit a certain standard. They do have a license, but it's not anything like the medallion, and it's not limited. I think they were talking about capping the number of people. Maybe they did end up doing that, but the only thing you can't do is paint your car yellow. Yellow is for taxis, the high visibility, easy to flag down. You can't flag down Ubers either. You have to use the app, but who the fuck flags down an Uber? That was the same thing with the car services. You weren't supposed to flag them down. But it destroyed the medallion system.
Right. And so then all those people that bought those medallions,
the value dropped. And then people said, fuck you. You for years refused to take us where we wanted to go. So I have no sympathy for you. But it got so bad that people have committed suicide. There's a couple instances because they had these now worthless fucking things. The idea was I bought this $800,000 medallion. I'm making payments on it, but it's got value and it's going to keep that value. So if I ever have to sell it, I can get out of this. I can just sell it to someone else. No, when the value plummets, you got nothing. So these people found themselves in financial ruin, and the city did nothing to help them out. It is kind of shitty.
I guess, but isn't it their own risk?
It is, but there could have been. This is where I go back and forth on things. I don't want over government regulation, but I feel as though there needs to be regulation because greed fucking takes over.
Yeah.
And the fact that these things on the secondary market grew to such outrageous prices, and there's some people that say, well, the market dictates the price. Yeah, sure. And there is risk, but there's such risk that it really can destroy lives. And I think that I would like to put it on people first to say, you know what, this is getting a little out of hand, and if something goes wrong, that person's life could be ruined. My life could be ruined. I know it's probably not an easy decision to put that much money out, but if you're trying to find your way in the city and survive and make money. You're like, well, whatever. This is what I need to do at this point. It'd be nice if people looked out for other people, but since that doesn't clearly happen.
Yeah, that's the thing. If you put somebody in charge of not letting a system like that turn into what it's turned into, that person becomes too powerful, right? And then they can...
With the medallion, it would have been nice if it said you can't. There's no resale value. Nobody can resell these things. We make that illegal. You buy it for yourself. If you're done, you give it back to us, and we, give it to someone else.
Maybe the mob got involved.
That would have been nice to see. I'm sure the mob was involved in some way at some point, but
we got these medallions.
But that would have been nice to see. Like, no, you can't fucking sell these.
Yeah,
they didn't do that.
We need like a good mom. To be like, no, you can't just hire your very rich friends to run the Senate. You can't make more money off of that just because you bought all those medallions. You need to let people buy them.
Those cab companies. I guess they existed before the medallions were expensive anyway. There's still somebody who got a lot of them and said, I run this fleet of cabs, I'll hire you as a driver. And that was a common practice before they became insanely expensive. I'll hire you and not pay you much. You can keep your tips. All the meter fares go to
And
me.
you're foreign, so haha. I got you.
Here's the American dream, chump.
Yep.
Welcome. You make some money, and it's more money than you saw in India, let's say.
Yeah.
So to you, it seems like a good deal, but I'm keeping 80%.
Yep.
One day you'll realize.
Oh, you're so ungrateful.
All right. Well, we went past. You have to go make the nachos.
I have to go make fid. More than just nachos.
I really wasn't going to sleep on a regular basis this week until 3 or 4 in the morning, and then getting up at 9.
Yeah, you need a nap.
So my brain wasn't working. So Clunk is the name of the
Clunk.
show.
Clunk chunk. Butterbean.
Chunky Campbell's noodle soup with McNabb's mom.
Stew. Chunky. Fucking hamburger. Stew. With those weird green beans in there.
Well, those little hamburger chunks had grill lines on them.
Uh-huh. How'd they do that? There's one person at the soup factory grilling tiny little patties.
The whole
tiny grill.
Marketing commercial campaign was weird when they were hiring these NFL players who were well known,
that was weird.
Hanging with their moms, but it wasn't really their moms. It was mom actors.
Yeah. Here you go, baby.
What about the real mom? I feel like the real mom. Like,
no, I think the real mom was there.
I thought these were actors.
I think that they were their real mom.
Well, that's nice then, because I used to think of the real mom sitting there saying, "What's wrong with me?
Who wants a chunky soup when you're like exerting yourself physically like that?"
Donovan, why didn't you bring me to the commercial? Why do you have a fake actor mom, Donovan McNabb?
McNabb.
He barfed on the field during the Super Bowl. He was so nervous.
Probably because he ate too much soup.
I know people.
Man,
have
am I
before.
gassed? I'm gonna get a big bowl of soup.
I know people have.
I'm gonna go to sleep after I eat a soup. You know.
No, a soup is a nice.
I'm not getting energy from a soup.
You're getting a lot of energy from a soup.
No, I'm gonna go to bedtime. It's nice and hot and warm, and I had some cornbread with it, and now I'm gonna go take a nap.
No, you're insane. A soup brings you a medley of different vegetables and proteins. And
a medley?
Things that you need. Yeah, a medley.
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 A medley. Whatever.
Melody.
It brings you I'll add extra syllables if I want. All right, I guess I should go.
I'm so hungry too. I have to make lunch.
Go make the fucking nachos. Nachos.
Not just nachos, but also other foods.
Nachos.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Love you. Bye.